Hi, everybody. David Noor. Want to welcome you to another monthly webinar we're doing. This one is focused on relationships reinvented. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X. We've got a great registration, great attendance for this. And in this session, I really want to talk about in this new year, and particularly, as we embark, as we get into the rhythm of the year, what are you doing to become more intentional? What are you doing to become more strategic? What are you doing to really think about relationships as a compounding effect in your efforts? So, I've got a deck together for us. So relationships reinvented. I've been thinking a lot about this idea of um, this operating system, kind of a relational operating system for particularly those highly relationship centric businesses. If you think of a professional service firm, most of us are not selling a product where you push the button and the green light comes on. We're selling relationships for a living. We're selling our people and our capabilities and our responsiveness and a lot of those quote unquote intangibles. So as the as the prospective customers demands change and evolve, how will we continue to remain relevant? How will we think differently about what we're doing? So just to set the stage, a lot of professional service firms, I would say a lot of professionals, are managing their relationships like it's still 2015. Your manual, right? Pieces of paper. Oh my God, where did I leave this business card? For our younger audience, business cards are these cardboard things that we used to hand out. And where did I leave that? And who was that person? Inconsistent, right? You cannot do this really well on a Tuesday and forget about it by Thursday. And then we're very reactive. We're from seat of our pants trying to figure out what's happening and trying to figure out what's working and what's not, and how do I do more or less of this. So by the way, Justice Noor has also joined us, is behind the scenes, and he's sharing in one word. How I want you to jump in, because we're seeing your input as well in LinkedIn, in YouTube, in X, Facebook, if you're there. How would you describe your firm's current relationship strategy? Because again, as the market becomes more complex, as the expectations scale, clients are going to demand more of us. You're compete every what was the if you haven't seen the TV series The Bear, the second season, one of the episodes, the famous sign, every second counts, every second matters, right? That's increasingly our relationships. And the market change is actually accelerating. I was talking to a client executive earlier today about, forget the 5-year strategic planning, right? This quarter, next quarter, the environment on the left-hand side is more complex than ever. You've got multiple stakeholders now on this buying committee that still might be one economic buyer, but he or she's got a whole lot of ears that people are talking in his or her ear. The decision cycles are getting longer. The competitors are much more entrenched earlier in the cycle. And the digital signals are just overwhelming. Like, how many different places can I get? And a lot of it is noise. But your approach to relationship management hasn't changed much. You're still relying a lot on memory. And I got to tell you, I can't remember what I had for breakfast today. So, how are you keeping up with all these things? Spreadsheets, they're not scalable. You're going to start sending things around. Well, we use Google Sheets. And okay, so who can see it? Who can edit it? Who can comment on it? And are you tracking, or CRM activity logs? We're going to talk about this. I got to tell you, I still see a lot of people confusing events and activities and emails and coffee with relationship progression, relationship depth. So if you're still relying on memory, spreadsheets, and CRM activity logs, I think you're in trouble. Your process is in trouble. So I love it. Let's see. Doug Lehman is here. In layman's terms, work in progress, too many words. Absolutely. Kyle, Kyle is working on the human operating system. Love this. Relationships harder to leverage today than 5 years ago. Yes, no, about the same. Justice sharing that? Absolutely. Kyle, absolutely. The big fan of the operating systems. The more we remove ambiguity, the better. You better believe it. Thanks for jumping in. Again, Justice is also asking, what's changed in your market? He's asking, and again, people are jumping in. More access to relationships, but harder to maintain trust without intentionality. So keep those going. We want to make sure those keep showing up here as well. Um, so the real constraint and what holds many firms back, again, left hand side, you got fragmented relationship intelligence, predominantly because we're just inundated with noise. You've got leaders that are consumed by delivery, right? Two sides to this coin. I've got to do sufficient business development to make sure the pipeline keeps going, but I also have got to deliver. If I don't deliver quality work, the rest won't matter. So your growth plans continuously depending on adding more headcount, adding more bodies. Ask any business owner, and they'll tell you the single biggest challenge in their business model is the people side. So you scale. Can you scale without leverage? If you try to do that, you create burnout. You create burnout in your best people, not growth. Hope a lot of times not intelligent and profitable growth. You just go through a lot of people that are doing the best that they can. And I'm telling you, I'm talking to partners in firms who are saying, okay, I came here to deliver. We're really good at delivery side, but I'm also being asked to bring in the business. And that balance is a real struggle for a lot of people. So the core problem we believe is that you don't have a relationship strategy. You have relationship activity. And a lot of people confuse the two, right? You have events and follow up and CRM and networking and, right? A lot of fragmented efforts. But what you have to hear is that that activity is not strategic leverage. There's no compounding value. And again, people are jumping in. Steve, sorry, you might be having audio issues. I'm here. I want to make sure, confirm we're good with audio. Um, Justice is jumping in with, again, question: what's your biggest constraints right now? Right, time, visibility, alignment, discipline. Right. So thanks for responding to those. Mark Fonseca's jumping in. AI has no heart. They want authenticity, not artificial. Mark, you're exactly right. The way you and I connect with people one on one, I've yet to find an AI platform, AI environment that allows me to do that. But from a scale standpoint, love this. Mark is also jumping in with my clients want more human connections. Mark, I think that's going to increase. I've got clients that are deploying these AI BDRs and AI SDRs, and they sound great, but they miss that human connection. They miss that authenticity. Um, Abdul is jumping in. Thank you. Visibility, right? That's Justice is asking, what's your biggest constraint right now? Time? Is it visibility, alignment, discipline? Right. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for continuing to jump in. So I believe there's an opportunity for a relational operating system. For an operating system to really work, it needs these four attributes, right? You got to provide visibility. You got to drive, intentional activation. You want to make sure you're prioritizing. We're going to talk about this, and you want to enable leverage. You got to get beyond just your own capacity constraints. So I want you to, believe it or not, stop managing relationships and start engineering them. Start manufacturing, right? What is it going to take? What are my best relationships? How do I distill or ignore a lot of this noise to focus? And you got to stop just tracking activity and confusing that for progression. So, in terms of agenda for this session, I want to talk about an ideal relationship profile, which we believe are profoundly uh, more valuable than just your ideal customer profile. I'll talk more about that. I want you to think about reactivating dormant relationships. We all have them. I call them your customer alumni, right? There might have been a customer of yours in your previous life or theirs, but for whatever reason, you got busy, you lost touch. Finding a way to go back and reactivating those goes a long way. I want to talk about your top 100. This is a social science matter that I'll jump more into in a second. But I've got 20,000 contacts on LinkedIn. I couldn't tell you how I know half of them. And I think that's true for most people. So with all this noise, I want to keep coming back to this. With all this noise, how do we focus? I can't take credit for this. I recently heard somebody else say this when I described the top 100. They said if you're looking for a needle in a haystack, and if you made the stack smaller, would the needle more readily appear? Let me say it again. If you're looking for a needle in a haystack, if you make the stack smaller, would the needle more readily appear? So this is all about being intentional about those. I'm talking to a lot of clients about what I call the 10x talent agenda. We'll talk more about that. And then I want you to, again, I know this stuff. I promise you, I don't need to hear myself talk. This is for you. And can you move from intentions? Because everybody I meet has the best intentions. Can you move from intentions to real transformation? And that transformation is a combination of a skill, application of that skill to gain the knowledge, and really the wisdom from the knowledge to change your behaviors. And a lot of times, the real impact you're after, particularly when it comes to relationships, is a change in your behaviors. So let's jump into them. If you've ever played one of these dynamic sports like soccer, rugby, lacrosse, hockey, I think this comment will resonate with you that 90% of these games are played when you don't have the ball, when you don't have the puck. And the best teams are comprised of individuals who are always asking, where should I be? What should I be doing? How do I put myself and my team in the best possible position so when we do get the ball or the puck, we can do something with it? I need you to see that pitch, that hockey ice, that environment as your market. Constantly changing, constantly dynamic, demands are changing. I recently read a Gardner paper that says clients do 86% of their due diligence before they ever talk to you. I spoke with a CEO who said, I put in ChatGPT relationship economics, and I pretty much understand everything you've done for the last 2 decades. Okay, great. So if that's the market, what's your unique value add? Just like those great players, are you asking yourself, what should I be? What should I be doing? How do I put myself and my team in the best possible position so when we do get the ball or we get the puck, we can do something with it? On that note, most of you have heard of the ideal customer profile. ICP, right, is firmographic data, really valuable. Company size, employees, revenue, geography, right? It's all about that focus. This is where, as a company, we're best suited to pursue. This is our best possible kind of choices for the best possible outcome that we're trying to gain. We love ICP. I think everybody needs one. Here's the challenge when it comes to relationships. Relationships are not between buildings and logos. They're always between individuals. So we believe that not all relationships are created equal. And whereas ICP is broad kind of firmographic data, I want you to double click on that and say within that customer profile, within that organization, who's my ideal relationship profile? Are they strategic? Are they particularly valuable, relevant to me? So just 3 attributes that you can think about. I love accelerants. So can this relationship accelerate my ability to get to my goal and help, right, drive the outcomes I'm after? Relationally, if you throw any challenge or opportunity, think about it a second. You throw enough time, effort, resources, you'll get there eventually. One of the biggest undervalued assets of our relationships is that they can accelerate our ability to get there. If I can get there in 3 months instead of 6 or 9, That's real value. So, what relationships can accelerate my outcome? Number two, are they a partner? I got to tell you, I don't like being called a vendor. I don't want to be called a vendor. I don't want to be treated like a vendor. I'm not selling transactions, right? Are they truly a co creator with me? But also, I got to tell you, the older, it was my birthday recently. None of you reached out. I'm kidding, right? None of you sent a gift. You should stop talking to me now. Um, it was recently my birthday. I got to tell you, the older I get, the less jerks I want to be around. Like who wants to go through life with just jerks? So I like clients who become friends. Now, you can't force that, but it just makes it that much more valuable, that much more enjoyable when they're not just strategically a co-creator with you of a unique value in their organization, but you like genuinely like hanging out with these people and you want to introduce them to your spouse. By the way, my spouse is a fantastic litmus test, right? Because she'll see things, she'll hear things, she'll that I don't. And by the way, people like me a lot more when they meet my wife, right? So people that clients that you feel good about working with, who also become friends, are invaluable. Last but not least, are they a growth catalyst? Do they extend your reach? Do they expand your capabilities? I love this one. Do your relationships, your most valuable ones, push you to become the best version of you? Do they push? We all need that because the arc of any job is about 3 to 5 years. Think about it a second. Most of us figure out what to do and how to do in that current job in about 3 to 5 years. And I wrote about this in Curve Benders, right? That refraction point, that you could also call it inflection point, is heavily based on the people that you prioritize and you're spending time with, and they're going to push you to keep being great. So once you identify an ideal relationship profile, my goal is always, okay, how do I go find 50 more of these people? And that's exactly what we're building in Avneer. This lookalikes of relationships that I value, relationships that are instrumental to my success, relationships that are relevant to me, relationships that I enjoy spending time with. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to spend time with people who suck the life out of me. That's just not enjoyable. That's not why I get out of bed. So this idea of ideal relationship profiles are really critical. Mark has got a great question. Can we filter LinkedIn to create our ICP? Mark, you can. Specifically, I think LinkedIn Sales Navigator allows you to really filter down, employee region, geography, employee size, a lot of those details. And I highly recommend it. ICP ideally is research based. It's not a gut feel or intuition. It's research based, and that ICP goes a long way in thinking through these things. So moving on. And if you get questions, comments, we're live. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X. Justice Norris posting some really, really good questions in here that we'll talk about. Jump in. Questions, comments, anything you want me to clarify. Happy to do so. So I did this I was talking to another client about measuring what really matters. And I got to tell you, if you start thinking about relationships as a strategic asset, as a measurable asset, you can't, if you don't do that, you can't really understand the compounding effect. And I was telling him three things really matter. And I think of these as leading indicators, not lagging, right? Leading drivers, not lagging indicators. I try to delineate those two. Again, lagging indicators, that's my rear view mirror. Leading drivers, that's my windshield. Do you have access? Can you make a phone call? Can you send an email? Can you send a text? Do you have access to the right people? Are they responsive? Right? Friends don't ghost friends. By the way, every new relationship, particularly executive level, I make sure I set the stage. I don't want to chase you to return my calls and emails, and I don't want to chase you to get paid. So the responsiveness, I promise I won't pester you, but if I reach out, I need something. So get back to me. Friends do not ghost friends. And I told you earlier, ideal relationship profiles are not just business transactions, they also become friends. And then advocacy behaviors. Are they advocating on your behalf in rooms you're not in conversations you're not in, right? So I would submit to you that relationships show up in the forecast way before they show up in the CRM. And the compounding value becomes, right, this exponential growth. The leading drivers are that access, responsiveness, and advocacy behaviors, right? Again, appreciate Mark. Mark Fonseca is jumping in with some great ideas. Justice is questioning, right? Um, who are your top 20? Let's start with 5. Do you know your top 5? How about 10? How about 20? You want a gold star? 50 relationships. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And it's just critical to really think about where are you investing your time, effort, and resources. And I'm grateful. Mark, very candid. Regrettably not. Right. This is a really good time and good place to do that. Um, so that's a huge opportunity, I think, for most of us. So ideal relationship profiles in practice is if you tie a relationship to your strategic goals. I don't know about you. I create OKRs, I create goals, I create priorities. Next to each one, I actually capture an ideal relationship profile. So, one of our clients, Phil, I got to tell you, I really enjoy every conversation with Phil. No nonsense, no flowery anything, right? Very intentional. So, what type of relationships profoundly accelerate your progress against that goal? These are questions to ask. What influence do you have to create? You want to ask, where do you already have access? If you're not thinking about your ideal relationship profiles, right? You don't have intentional growth levers for those investments. You're investing blindly. You're investing in trying to invest in everybody. And I'm trying to tell you, not all relationships are created equal. So, this idea of ideal relationship profiles help you really focus on that intentionality. Again, we're trying to create some interaction. Justice jumping in with, do you define relationship profiles before pursuing growth initiatives or after your deal is stalled? Oh my gosh, we should have, could have, would have talked to that person. And I'm really not sure who's on that buying committee or who's got influence. And do I have a coach or do I have a champion? Not really. You wouldn't believe the meetings I sit in on, and we have these conversations. Like we're not intentional about thinking through these things, right? So dormant relationships, I got to tell you, it's one of the really valuable assets that, again, we're seeing people not really invest in. They are not dead. They've just grown cobwebs. They've grown rust. A little spit and polish goes a long way. What you have to realize is your network is richer, deeper than you think. But you got to find a way to unlock the value of these dormant relationships because you have pre-existing trust. They already know you. They already hopefully like you. They trust you. So you've got a really strong built-in foundation. You have a lower acquisition friction. I don't know about you guys. How many spam emails do you get a day? And if I don't know you, you call me, I'm probably not picking it up. And I think that's true for most people. So you got less resistance and you got a faster re-engagement cycle. You can quickly activate these people because they do remember you, because they've got a good experience with you. So unfortunately, a lot of firms on the left-hand side are still chasing cold leads. It's hard. It's slow. It is a grind. The conversion rate is god awful. Who wants to do that? Versus, right, warm paths that sit idle. You've got enormous untapped potential. You've got missed opportunities because you knew someone that you went to school with. You knew someone that you used to work with, and you didn't see that. You didn't think about it. We call those hidden relationships that are invaluable if you proactively work them, if you proactively engage them. So I love it. Doug is jumping in. Relationship behaviors and advocacy. Buildings are intentional. Absolutely. Justice, here you go. How many dormant relationships do you believe sit inside your firm right now? 10 to 25, 25 to 100, 100 plus. I don't know about you. I'm embarrassed that I have a Delta Airlines client in our own CRM who left that job 3 years ago. And I'm wondering what she's been up to. I was talking to somebody else that twice a year they've got this manual as all get out process for going through LinkedIn Sales Navigator and figuring out who's changed jobs and where they are now. It's unbearable in what manually they have to go do. So, really important to think about that and think about proactively, are you nurturing these? So, I've got a 3-step process for how to reactivate some of these dormant relationships. What's critical is you have to stay top of mind with insights, unique insights, not noise. There's so much noise in our market. I got to tell you, I hate, and I typically try to ignore this AI automated responses to my LinkedIn post. It's garbage. It doesn't sound like the person. It's not human. I don't want to interact with that. So make sure you're adding unique insights. Number one, start by auditing who have you not engaged in the last 6, 12, 18, 24 months. I'm old school. I still print my pipeline. I go back and look at my calendar. I have a daily journal that I use. I go back. Who did I talk to last month, last quarter, 6 months ago, a year ago? Who did I meet at that conference last October who we had great intentions, but we got busy? But you got to start by auditing who are you neglecting. By the way, have you noticed we all make to-do lists and very few people make stop doing lists? We make relationship lists. I wonder what relationships you're neglecting, because I haven't seen one of those lists yet. Number 2, prioritize. Who aligns with your current strategic goals? Not everybody's going to be relevant. Let's just say, for example, I know Mark Fonseca he's a clothier, great guy, right? I get a ton of compliments in, the stuff that I wear that fits really well and it's quality, and right, a lot of compliments because the color, shape, whatever matches, right? And the guy looks like $1 million every time I see him. And my aspirations in life is not to buy anything off the rack, have it all custom made, right? But he shifts his focus, he shifts his lens. He's doing more data analytics and helping clients make sense of their data. And that may or may not be relevant to a lot of people that knew him in that world. So if your current strategic goals shift, you have to think about, how do I prioritize those? Last but not least, you engage them again with a unique value add. There's nothing more cringeworthy than, hey, what value does that add? Versus, I saw this report, I saw this Wall Street Journal example, and it made me think, this story made me think of you and our last conversation, or you and what I perceive you trying to build. I forward more newsletter articles and posts and write to people. A, I'm top of mind. B, they know I'm thinking of them. C, hopefully I add an intelligent comment to that. Hey, wasn't this what we talked about last time? Or when I saw you 6 months ago, you were struggling with this. Did you figure this out? But when you re-engage with a unique value add, thought of you because of this, it sets you apart from everybody else. Touching base, wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Okay, well, thank you. But again, that's going to be a really short-lived conversation. So what's your unique value add? So shifting gears to this top 100, I got to tell you, it is all about discipline. And let me just explain where this is coming from. The Dunbar number says the average individual can proactively manage about 100 to 150 relationships. That's it. That's all any of us have bandwidth for. Average individual can proactively manage about 100 to 150 relationships. That's it. Like I said, My 20,000 contacts on LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. I don't know a lot of them. I don't remember how we met, where we met, right? But I can tell you who my top 10 clients were last year and the year before and the year before. And you know where my top relationship list is? And by the way, don't get overwhelmed with 100. Start with 5. Start with 10. Start with 20. Again, you want a gold star? Go to 50. I'm telling you, 100 is all you have the capacity for. So what's important is, think about it. If everything's a priority, nothing is a priority. If everyone's a priority, no one is a priority. So then, if you identify your top 100, who's high influence, who's high alignment, who's high mutual value, both promised and delivered. So of everybody I know, I want to really start to narrow this list down of where are my biggest investment opportunities? Where can I be intentional? So I want to do 3 things with my top 100. I want to invest in them very consistently, proactively touching base, proactively engaging them, proactively making sure that I'm adding value. I want to protect them fiercely. There's no way, and I'm saying this respectfully, hell no. I am not walking you into, and people say this all the time, could you introduce me to that client that you've been working with for 20 years? Oh, sure, no problem. Like, are you kidding me? I don't know you. Not sure I like you. Not sure I believe in your value add. And you want me to walk you in to someone I've worked really hard to nurture for all these years? That is never going to happen. And we have an oral expression in the South. If people are not saying it, their face is showing it. No, I'm not doing that. So protect them fiercely. And then I want to strengthen them consistently, constantly. I want to make sure. So here's a pro tip for you. You know where my top 100 list is? On my bathroom mirror. Because when I wake up in the mornings and I'm getting cleaned up, I want to make sure I'm seeing. And by the way, some of you may remember John Madden, the football great. He had his pen and he would draw all over it. I've got on a string attached is a red pen. And what I'm always doing is I'm making sure that these relationships, I'm proactive. And you may have heard me talk about this. I've got a 3-touch rule. I'll invest 3 times without asking for anything in return. But I'm not chasing these people. So if I can't engage them, if I'm not seeing them on a regular basis, if we're not proactively working through an opportunity, I deprioritize them, almost like a Target logo, right? Who's at the epicenter? Who's at the next ring? Who's the ring after that? But I want to be intentional about the relationships I focus on. So invest in them consistently, protect them fiercely, strengthen them constantly. So if you cultivate a powerful, focused network, you become unstoppable. You remove friction. You get more things done. Focus on the focus. Not everyone. You cannot invest in everybody equally. So how do you then prioritize which relationships you're going to invest in? So from a tactical standpoint, I believe those 100 people, those 10 people, those 20 people, whatever your number is, requires you to answer 5 questions, right? And by the way, we're trying to build this into Avnia, right? What's the context of the relationship? This contact is strategic to me because fill in the blank. Goals. This contact is relevant to my desired outcomes because mutual value. Here's how I can help. One of the biggest challenges, people are always thinking, what can Kyle do for me? And I'm trying to tell you, that's the wrong way to think about it. When I meet someone, one of the things that's top of my head, top of mind, and I'm always asking, how can I help this person? How can I add value to them? How can they feel? It is not about you. It's about how they're better off because of you. So how do you ensure you're adding value on a consistent basis? 4, touch cadence. We have this built into Avenir today. Should I talk to this person once a day? That might be, hey, listen, all good things in moderation. Okay. Even nor, too much of nor is too much, right? Is it once a week? Does that make sense? Is it once a month? Is it once every couple of weeks? Ask, hey, how often should we touch base? I just got off the phone with a brand new client and out of the gate. What do you guys think about reconnecting every couple of weeks and just getting caught up on both sides? So we got some great comments coming in. Let me jump in with Kyle. How do you maintain your pipeline of top 100, assuming there's movement? How does someone move into? Kyle, great question. So again, my strongest recommendation in doing this for a whole bunch of years, 100 tends to overwhelm a lot of people. So I would strongly suggest start with 5, 10, 20. Those are my most important relationships. These are the people that are my pipeline. Obviously, they're my existing customers first. This is a really good rubric, by the way. Here we go. Who are my top customers? Who are my top prospects? Who are my top partners? Think of referrals, recommendations. Who are top people in the market, media market, and who are the top relationships that I want to learn from, I want to grow through, I want to proactively nurture, right? So those 5: customers, existing customers, prospects, partners, market, including internal. Like if you have internal, who are the people, right? Sarah on our team, Cam on our team, they're critical. They're important to me in a huge way. And then in the market that I want to learn from, I want to grow through. I had lunch with someone yesterday I respect immensely. We met through the Thinkers 50 program in London. I'm out in the Bay Area for the next month, and we had lunch yesterday, and I just think the world of her. She's got a brand new book coming. She's gonna be my guest in the next couple weeks on a LinkedIn Live. So those are examples. So I invest in them, Kyle. If they don't reciprocate, or if I don't see that it's mutual in value exchange, I simply deprioritize them. So that gives me a chance to prioritize someone else. Think of a customer. Well, you're working on a project. The project is done. There's nothing else there. So I want to stay in touch with them because you never know when the next project might come up, but I'll probably deprioritize them, prioritize somebody else. Or I talked to a prospect, a chief growth officer told me yesterday that their private equity firm has cut his budget, in thirds. He loves, working with me, but there's nothing there. So is he still important to me? Sure. I'm just going to deprioritize him so I can prioritize somebody else. And again, Kyle, we're trying to do this dynamically in Avneer, so you don't have to manually try to keep up with people. Thanks for the question. Keep them coming. Sarah Radcliffe is in the house. Lately, the people I already know, especially with how disconnected or desensitized people are these days with new connections. Sarah, I think most people put up now because there's so much bombardment, there's so much noise. They put up this shield. And I think that's what you're referring to. Like, I don't know you. I love what I heard someone say, an executive on a panel said, the only way you're going to get in my office or on my radar is through someone I trust. The company's spam filters, if you send a cold email, no way that's getting through. Number 2, not picking up his phone, is not in office, it works remote and all that jazz. So the only way you're going to get on his radar is through a source, someone he trusts, right? So thanks for jumping in. Please continue to do so. Justice is coming in with, here you go. Who owns your top 20 relationships, the firm or individual partners? Right now, if you're a single shingle or if you're, a 2 or 3 person outfit, that might not be a big issue. But again, a bigger audience, bigger group does this. What I want you to do is stop being reactive and start again engineering, right? This is how relationships move from reactive. The last one was an influence map. And this is an important one, right? Where they sit. Are they a center? Are they a node? Are they a connection? Because you also know this. The traditional org chart on the right often shows us the formal hierarchy in any company, especially if you're working with a B2B environment. Any company, org chart on the right. Guess what? The influence network on the left, the informal power, profoundly more impactful. We all know that right is not how things get done. Because on the left, right, the CEO's son-in-law is in the company and they spend weekends together or they went to an event together, and right. So what you understand, the left hand side is built on trust and expertise and relationships. The right hand side, titles and reporting lines, right? So Nat Pham is in the house. Nat Pham is in the house, jumping in with, during the process of warming up dormant relationships over several months, how do you know you've made enough deposits to make the intro ask? Nat, in the words of the famed philosopher Britney Spears, I don't try to overthink it. I ask. Now, you can't be me, be you, but I actually ask, have I have I nurtured our relationship enough? Have I invested, have I added enough value to your world for me to ask a favor of you? Absolutely. Oh my gosh, you've been great. Well, how can I help? I'm trying to do this. What do you think? So I don't, pro tip, Nat, I don't typically ask for an introduction first. People still, Sarah said it, they're still reluctant in doing that. So I ask for their ideas. I ask for their insights. I ask for their perspective. I ask for, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? Here's a blog post. Here's an idea. Here's a framework that I'm thinking. What do you think? I might invite them to an event and ask them to bring someone. Hey, we're doing this thing. I've got a table. Would love to have you come and just bring somebody that you think would value being there. I'm getting together this small group for dinner. Bring somebody, right? So Nat, that's how I've typically done it, and that's what's worked for me. Um, Again, Doug's jumping in. Value add, 100% defined, is relatable and timely context. Absolutely. Justice got another good question. If your board asks you, or your investors, or your colleagues ask you to quantify your relationship strengths, could you? Could you? And if so, what does that look like? So we're going to talk about that in a second, right? So relationship health, depth and relevance versus activity. So I'm a big believer of, and by the way, title of a really good book, Measure What Matters. Um, this is all about the OKR space. This is all about being intentional about those metrics. Unfortunately, when it comes to relationships, a lot of people are measuring what's on the left. How many meetings have you had? How many calls? How many emails? It's all activity. And what I'm trying to convey is the activity doesn't move the relationship along a continuum. We're actually building an algorithm to start identifying, build a relationship score, because I don't know what good means. I've got a good relationship with Nat. I've got a good relationship with Mark. I've got a good relationship with Doug. What does that mean comparatively? And where are they on a continuum? So instead, what I want you to think about, and again, we're trying to do this in our platform. Can you measure the relationship health? Are they responsive? Do you have engagement? Is there real sentiment? Are they nicer? What's the tone of their emails or text messages? Is it hell no, or is it would love to help? Relationship depth. Is it authentic? Is it meaningful? Is it valuable? Do they prioritize returning your calls and emails, or are you an afterthought? Contextually relevant. Are you top of mind? Are they thinking of you? Are you aligned strategically? Most of you know I've spent 2 decades as a student of relationships. You know what I'm talking a lot about these days? Consequences of AI on your business relationships. The impact, co-creating great relationships with AI. Referral velocity. I've always believed every referral is a recommendation. If you're not getting referred and recommended in an unsolicited manner, this would be a really good time to ask, why is that? And then strategic access. Can you leverage borrowed trust, credibility, and influence? These are the things that are going to set you apart. These are the things that become strategic to where you're going. So growth without burnout. So scaling through leverage, not labor. Professional service firms I've always believed, I'm going to just throw more bodies at it. The labor is linear growth. You're always going to have a capacity constraint when we're talking about headcount as it relates to growth. There's also friction. It's a manual effort. It's a slow scale. It is the people part is the biggest challenge. I was talking to a VC firm. Some of you may know we're trying to raise capital for our AI platform. And he said the flex used to be, we've got 20 people, we've got 50 people. You know what the flex is now? We've got 4 people. And look at how much we're getting done with 4 people. So enormous shift to leverage because visibility creates leverage. Leverage reduces friction. Leverage is all about exponential growth. The better relationship leverage drives more growth. I want low friction. I want efficiency. I want scalability. This is how you don't burn people out, including yourself. So as I said, I've been talking to a lot of clients about this idea of a 10x talent. So let me just quickly explain what I mean by this. These people create exponential impact, not incremental gains. They're not doing a little bit more work. They're not doing a little bit more value add. They're just all about exponential. So if you think of a typical peer, right, it's incremental improvements, right? Standard performances and a very linear result. And, typical peer is going to really have a hard time thinking exponential versus the 10x talent is absolutely exponential. They create outsized outcomes. They bring rare capabilities. They bring strategic judgment. They bring disproportionate value creation. They don't just work harder. I take enormous pride in my own work ethic, but this isn't about working harder. There's only so many hours in a day. I've been looking for the 8th day of the week for a while. Haven't found it yet. This is about thinking differently, prioritizing in such a ruthless manner that every second does count. And you multiply your impact across people, systems, and results. You want 5 attributes? Here you go. Exponential value creation, number 1. Strategic leverage thinking, 2. They're systems thinkers. Learning velocity. They learn faster than anybody else. Ownership and accountability. They act like owners. They own it. And they have this talent multiplier effect. Other people want to come work with them. Other people want to be around them. The 10x talent agenda is real. And you're going to see, particularly as AI displaces, nobody wants to talk about this, replaces a lot of the mundane work, this 10x talent becomes invaluable. This is how you get a lot more done with fewer people because they think very strategically. They think very proactively, and they're problem solvers, and they're systems thinkers. And I don't know about you. I'm blessed. I think I've got 2, 3 of these people on our team, and they're phenomenal. Love being around them, love learning from them, love seeing them in action. So think about that 10x talent in a meaningful way. So how do we break that founder's bottleneck? Professional service firm founders cannot be the only bridge to strategic relationships. That is not scalable. So succession risks increase. I know your partner, your managing partner. I don't know you. Cross-selling stalls. Well, I bought that from Tim. I don't know if I need kind of what Susan does. And enterprise access narrows because the relationship was with the founder or the principal of the firm, not you. So that relationship visibility institutionalizes trust. We believe the more visible, and this is exactly, again, what we're working on Avneer, that relationship graph, the more visible relationships, who do we know? Who do we have access to? How can we get there in a meaningful way? makes a huge difference. So I want you to shift. Like I said, I already know this stuff. I want you to shift, and it's as much of your mindset than anything else, from intention to transformation, from doing things manually, from doing things inconsistently, from keeping all your relationship insights in your memory, or right. I thought you guys would appreciate the old Rolodex, right, image, to now how do we become more intentional? How do we create more visibility? And how do we engineer actionable relationship intelligence? If there was a snapshot of what we're trying to do at Avneer, here it is. How do we become intentional? How do we become more visible? How do we become more engineered, actionable relationship insights? So, from a practical standpoint, here you go. I mentioned this earlier. Diagnose your relationship health, depth, relevance. Every time we talk to somebody, you're going to laugh. I've come up with a scale manually. What I've been doing is asking my most important relationships on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how would you rate our professional relationship? And people will say 8, 9, 6, 7 for these reasons. And then I flip the coin. How would you rate it personally? 8, 9, right? Love seeing you, love hanging out with you, love spending time together, right? So, but you can't do that overnight, right? I've spent some time with these people. I've kind of gotten to know them. Define your ideal relationship profile. You're not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody's a good investment of your time and effort. So number 2, get very intentional about those attributes. 3, reactivate some of your dormant relationship capital. Some of the re-engage inactive contacts. Go back to your LinkedIn. How did you connect with them? When did you connect with them? How do you know them? I spoke with someone who, removed the connection of, I think he said he's got like 30,000. He's down to 3,000. He just doesn't need more noise in his life. He did that during the holidays. I'm unfollowing a lot of people, and I'm right, removing connections from people that are just not relevant to what I'm trying to do. Focus on strengthening your top 100. Right? We talked about those are your most valuable ones, and then measuring what matters. So I want you to move from intention to outcome. Moving from intention to outcome would go a long way. Again, Justice has been jumping in with some great questions. What would change if your firm, if you could actually see your relationship ecosystem clearly? I love that question. Which of these 5 areas is your weakest right now? Right? Again, from transforming, from right, being more intentional about these things. Where are you struggling with? Jump in and answer that. We're in the home stretch, so you may have seen me post. I've been using this hashtag in 2026. Hashtag relationships matter more than ever. Why? The traditional pipeline model is lagging the pace of business. So a lot of times trust is built before your first meeting. Your access determines your velocity. The relationship visibility, access, influence absolutely sets you apart. By the way, these become your only sustainable competitive advantage. So, again, you've heard me talk about these 6 phases of relationships. We're trying to do this in a really meaningful way with AI orchestration, in a simple, elegant way. So what's next? We'll send you a follow-up email with the link. We have a new relationship assessment. If you haven't seen it, it gives you some really interesting nuggets. AvneerInsights.com is a really good website for you to see what we're building. If it's viable, you can request early access. We are currently in beta. I'm working with, today 18 paying beta customers who see value of what we're trying to build, and unapologetically, it's early, but we want to build something that lasts in a meaningful way. And I hope this session's been useful to you. Our next webinar, we're doing these one a month on March 10th at 1 p.m. I love this. Where did all the leads go? So we're going to talk a lot about that. So again, I'm David Norm. We're really excited to have Avneer about building an intelligent relationship management platform that allows you to accelerate your ability to get things done. I want to thank you guys. For those who are here, thanks for being here. For those that might watch it at your own leisure, I always welcome your comments. Justice North, thank you for your posts. Final thought: what is one action you will take in the next 30 days to reinvent how your firm manages relationships? So make this actionable, make this useful, make this impactful in your business. I'm David Noor. Thanks for joining. Again, avnirinsights.com is a great website to learn more about our efforts, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks, everybody. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.